with Cody Rhodes signing a WWE deal and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for March 19th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official, and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. WWE Chairman Vince McMahon is known for his pranks and backstage shenanigans, as Jake Roberts recalled McMahon and Bruce Pritchard betting on how many times Steve Austin would say a certain word on the DDP Snake Pit podcast. USA had gotten on Vince's ass about Austin. He said ass. They didn't want him to say ass anymore, so Vince got Steve right at the desk and said, "Steve, damn it, USA's up my butt. Do not say ass out there. I don't need the aggravation. You hear me?" Steve said, "Yes, sir." There's Bruce Pritchard sitting over there at the gorilla position, and Steve goes and he looks at Vince and goes, "I bet he screws up and says ass." And Vince said, "You want to bet on how many times he'll say ass?" Pritchard says, "He'll say it twice." Vince said, "I bet he'll say it more than that." A $5 bet. Austin went out there, but poor Bruce did not know that Vince walked around the curtain and grabbed Steve just as he was about to go through the curtain and said, "Say it at least 15 times. And he let him go. He went out there and said ass every time he turned around. Ass, ass. Pritchard's in the back crying. "What the? I can't believe he's doing that." Vince is like, "I'm gonna break his neck. I'm gonna kill him. He's going to get us kicked off TV." And Pritchard is like, "Holy hell, Vince. Don't be that mad at him." Bruce didn't want Steve to get kiboshed. Vince worked Bruce many times. That was just one. With Steve Austin getting back in shape for his segment with Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. When it comes to Vince McMahon being involved in the match between Pat McAfee and Austin Theory, it was said on Wrestling Observer Radio that McMahon's participation will depend more on how he moves as opposed to how he looks. Even Vince in a match against McAfee, I don't think is that big, because I think people just, they know he's old and everything. It's not how he looks. More how he can move than how he looks. But yeah, the combination of what he feels would be proper for him to do. He is like the anti-old guy thing, even though he's old. Not like before. Not like, now you're dead at 40. Now everyone's over 40 there because time stood still, and he still thinks these guys are young now that are 45. Unfortunately for McMahon, his appearances with Austin Theory on WWE programming have not been doing much for ratings. With it said, as you get older, that actually is what happens. I can tell you, your perspective changes. But Vince is still the anti-old guy thing. If you look old on television, he's not really going to want you there. He's tried to take himself off many times, and he gets sucked back because it's an easy crutch. The reality is that Vince being back on TV with Austin Theory, it did not help ratings. Maybe week 1, and even then, not that much. It wasn't like the past, and it's not going to be anymore. They've gone to that well way too often. I don't think that's going to be that big of a thing, but we'll see. With AEW acquiring Ring of Honor, the company is getting ready to host the Super Card of Honor event, which will see FTR versus the Briscoes. In addition to this, AEW President Tony Khan said on Busted Open Radio that more AEW stars will appear in ROH. In 2 weeks, it'll be a very crowded Friday of wrestling. I hadn't scheduled this pay-per-view, the Ring of Honor Super Card, but I really think that is important for me because they've sold tickets and made a commitment to fans to still do the show. I see it as a transitional show in many ways, and I'm really excited about it because it's the first show under the new management, and it's also a transition show before I relaunch what I hope to be a really great new Ring of Honor TV product, a weekly series, wherever it does air or stream. This is a great opportunity to put our own stamp on it, but also pay respects to the great Ring of Honor traditions, and the great history of Ring of Honor with some of the top stars from recent Ring of Honor, and some of the great wrestlers who've been in Ring of Honor historically. Am I gonna be able to take everybody from AEW and bring them there? No, but I think there's a very cool way to use some of the great wrestlers in AEW who are going to be available and make this a great show. With Dolph Ziggler becoming NXT champion and more main roster stars set to be included on the show, NXT 2.0 has those at the USA Network pleased. As Andrew Zarian said on the McMahon podcast, they're doing good in the ratings, 620,000-ish. They're not doing terrible. USA Network is happy with this. I had a conversation with someone on Tuesday from USA and they're like, yeah, we're fine with these 6-somethings. Because listen, even with that slammed roster, with like NXT being NXT, they were doing these 700,000s. USA doesn't care if there are some WWE guys there. They just want ratings. I think they're happy with the 600 and something rating, you know, like that 620 to 650, a 700 for like a big show. That's a decent range. Yeah, it's not that bad. With Cody Rhodes no longer part of AEW, PW Insider reported that he signed with WWE nearly 2 weeks ago and is set to debut during WrestleMania weekend. It was further noted that Cody will be on the Raw brand, as Fightful said talent in the company were excited about his return. On Smack Talk, Dutch Mantel expressed doubt over Rhodes finding success when he returns to WWE. This is what I genuinely fear. I fear Cody going there, and it'll be a big deal 1 week, 2 weeks, and the 3rd week he is slack. Then the 4th week, Rhodes will just be fading into the background. By the 6th week, all the buzz is gone and he will be just another guy. That's what I fear, because that's what they have shown us as what they can do. Cody is not anywhere near the star his daddy was. I don't think he's anywhere near the star his brother was. Is he going to be Cody Rhodes? Is he going to have some kind of Starman gimmick? I think he's a good addition, but I really do not see him moving the needle at all. Cody Rhodes is involved in TBS's The Go Big Show, as Dave Meltzer pointed out in Wrestling Observer Radio, that Cody will be able to complete his existing deals. Is he going to like it? I mean, he had a lot of pull in the other company. Maybe they want to groom him for something. You know, there's a million different things. Maybe there's going to be opportunities from NBC Universal for him now that he's got his thing. Again, Go Big Show and everything, if that show gets renewed, he can still do that show, I'm pretty sure. I don't know 100% because I don't know the contract, but I would be pretty sure he would work that into the contract, the things that he already had deals with, where if it's a previous deal, I can still do it, as opposed to new deals, obviously Vince McMahon would have to approve, which sort of sucks when you want to be an actor and you're in WWE. That is a negative. With Tony Khan in AEW, he would be able to just be like, hey, I got this gig and it's really good, and Tony would be like, sure, unless it's like the week before a pay-per-view and you're booked into something big. It's interesting, and in AEW, he was guaranteed to be a player. In WWE, there's no guarantees, so it'll be fun to watch. With all this Cody Rhodes news, it comes as no surprise that the man would end up trending. Here's some of the reactions to Cody returning to WWE. I hope Cody got the contract he wanted and settled for nothing less. Who would have thought that Cody Rhodes of all people would have been the first wrestler from AEW to jump to the other side? This one I believe, and you know what, I'm happy for Cody Rhodes. Hearing all the good things that he's done and how helpful he was in AEW, I'm just glad he's happy back in WWE. I'll always thank Cody for the great matches. Here's to you, Cody, you're the man. Can't wait to see how this goes after WrestleMania 38 for him. I can't wait for his promos. Cody Rhodes is legendary regardless of where he does it. Damn bro, Cody Rhodes actually signed with WWE? WTF. Cody Rhodes has come back home. Cody Rhodes is officially signed with WWE? I thank goodness the speculation is over. A little surprised the signing was announced before he just showed up, but I'm happy he's happy. Cody Rhodes officially signed with WWE according to PW Insider. Now we can stop all the will he, won't he tweets that clog up all of our timelines. Despite being one of the first big signings for AEW, Chris Jericho recently revealed to Sports Illustrated that he turned down an opportunity to be an EVP for the company. He claimed he was asked to fill the position, but Jericho stated he didn't want to do the work and did not want to play grab ass for an ego boost. Of course, these comments would get praise from Jim Cornette on his Drive-Thru podcast. It really is a level-headed response, because all the EVPs ended up doing more shit, right? In Jericho's case, he got more money and only has to wrestle in bits where he feels like it. For less work and more money, he did not care at all about being EVP because he didn't want to build all the company. He just wanted to build his part in it. I can't disagree with that statement. That's actually being honest for Jericho for once. He didn't want the grab ass, egotistical whatever. He just wants to be able to put all the attention on himself without having to take the heat for an EVP putting all the attention on himself. As Kevin Owens gets set to have a segment with Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania, former WWE star Top Dollar noted on Casual Conversations that Owens is one of the few good people backstage in the company. Kevin was one of the guys that was genuinely cool and willing to sit down and talk about not just wrestling but other things, and be a genuine human being that has human emotions. Like, there is seriously a lot of that lacking in the wrestling industry, right? So he is one of the really good people I met while I was in WWE. During his appearance on the AEW Unrestricted podcast, Keith Lee recalled a piece of advice he got from a legend in WWE. The Undertaker several years ago said that in this life, whatever it is I choose to do, I need to make sure it means something. Don't do anything for nothing. Always make it mean something. I think that is definitely something I have especially applied to wrestling in the indies. Any match I've had, I've tried to make that match mean something special, and that has actually helped me climb. During her steel cage match against Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker would end up with many thumbtacks sticking out of her. As some fans were not convinced these were real, she made this video addressing the claim.
Normally I would never do this, but you guys are pissing me off saying that the thumbtacks we use are like gimmicked or fake or whatever. This is where the tacks go in the skin, and this is what happens when they slide around and slip out and slip back in. So, kindly fuck off.
Taking to Twitter today, Alexa Bliss sent out a warning to fans being scammed and revealed she and her fiance are still getting death threats on Twitter, and I really hate that this needs to be said again. No, you are not talking to me on any other social outlet. No, you do not get DMs from a personal account from me. No, we are not dating. No, I'm not asking for money. And death threats to me and my fiance are not okay. Whoever you are communicating with pretending to be me is not me. Do not continue communication. More importantly, again, death threats are not okay. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.